And we'll move on now to the support bit of this event, because I hope you are now all ready to start taking action on your carbon neutrality journey, net zero journey, I should really say. And James Trainer from Low Carbon Kent is going to tell you a little bit more on what kind of support you can get in that. So James, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to all the other speakers. It set me up really nicely, really, because I've managed to be able to cut out about 5 slides from my normal slideshow about not dwelling too much about why we're here. But again, thank you very much. So this presentation is going to provide an overview of the range of support available in Kent and Medway and further afield to help grow the local low carbon economy and deliver the green recovery that we really need. It's going to talk about the types of assistance that's open to businesses, along with the net zero targets that we've got with the Kent and Medway energy and low emission strategy, along with the Kent and Medway economic renewal and resilience plan. Now, on your screen now, you can see our main vehicle for this work. It's Low Carbon Kent. Low Carbon Kent is a network of SMEs across Kent and Medway. We, as a local authority, work within that to support their move to a low carbon, resource efficient and resilient way of working. We also help with environmental good practice, and obviously we're developing the growth in jobs and environmental sector with the financial support we can provide. Now, the portfolio of projects that we support is on my next slide. It's just loading up for you. So they include Locase, which is our primary program. We're also we're partners, we lead projects, but we're also supporting other projects locally as well. We've also got Clean Growth Southeast, Kent Revs, we've got Interpower, Growing Green, Blueprint, Sea Care, and Upcycle Waste. There's a number of projects that we're working on or supporting locally. Now, like I said, Locase is our primary project. Program, if you like. Now, that is supporting now 4 LEP areas. So it's not just supporting CELEP, which is the south region where we are at the moment, including Essex, Thurrock and Southend and Medway. We're now branching out into C2C, Solent and EM3, which is basically all the way down to Hampshire to the New Forest, from Kent all the way back up to Surrey and back across pretty much the M25 back to Kent. So quite a large area now where we're supporting. In total, it's a £51 million project that's been running for at least 6 years. We run till June 2023. Now, what we can do is we can help businesses with 2 sets of funding, really. One is focused on energy resource efficiencies, or we're helping businesses with their low carbon business support. So, for example, on the slide there, you can see the first example is that pond. That is a brewery that is using the pond to cool the water from the brewery process, as they had some funding to support their system in putting that in place. The second one is, I'm just going to wait for the slides to catch up, is Thanet Bowls. Now, as you can see from that photograph, that's probably 150 odd lighting setups there. They moved from traditional lighting to LED lighting for their energy efficiency. So we were able to help that sports club, who are a charity, achieve those energy efficiencies that they were looking for. And then finally, the last example is a business that were developing a, excuse me, it's just gone too far, I'll go back. This one here at the bottom, developing a barrier that was solar powered, and you can see that across Kent now, but actually it's also gone out to the Australian outback as an individual kind of item. So we help with the R&D part of that project as part of one of our work packages for Locase, and that was a really interesting project to help. Now, we have restrictions in terms of our funding ability, so we can't help with primary production of food. So I wouldn't be able to help, say, Doug with his egg farm, but what I might be able to do is help Doug with his wedding business. So if he's got a barn where he's got his, Doug, I think you said you had 3 wedding venues, we might be able to put solar panels or an air source heat pump onto one of those buildings to help him reduce his energy efficiencies. So there are things we can help, but we don't help with that primary production of food, but there are things we can help with that industry. So do check out the website. Don't feel like we're not going to be able to help farming. We can help them, but just in other ways. Going on from that, we also do non-financial assist as part of Locase. And so it was mentioned before about how you can kind of start your journey onto this. And there's lots of different schemes out there, but this is a free assistant to businesses. And they don't have to be part of Locase to go on these courses. So it's Steps Environmental Management. It was called STEM, but obviously STEM's now turned into a different kind of acronym. But we do it in 3 levels. So you've got blue, silver and gold, and you'll do a workshop and you'll go off and do some kind of assessments of your own business, basically. So it's quite a light touch in a sense, in terms of, you're not going to be spending weeks doing a course, but it gives you those basic information about how to help your business and how to put a management plan in place. And of course, if you go through the 3 courses, you'll have the full information to be able to help your business go further. But there are other courses available, obviously. But this is a free business support, so do check out the website. Beyond that, we have our other projects where we're supporting. Now, we have, just wait for the slide to catch up. We have Interpower, which is looking at supporting the wind farm of our local area. So that's the extension in terms of developing further local offshore wind farm chains, helping Kent firms servicing and contracting with the farms just off our coast, as well as addressing obviously the chicken and egg supply and demand issue of green hydrogen provision and that local infrastructure for transport and industry that we are going to need. I think hydrogen was mentioned before. And obviously with the grey and the blue, hydrogen not being as efficient, but green is the ideal. So how can we help our local economy with these other schemes that are local to us? We also have Clean Growth Southeast, and that's a project that's been using CELEP sector support fund money to scope and size opportunities of all 4 low carbon and renewable energy economy projects, or environmental goods and services sector projects across the south and east. Now, so far that project scoped out 6,000 businesses, which can work with them to increase their capacities and delivery of many clean growth projects and initiatives that they're looking to implement in the region. Now, initiatives supporting the circular economy, we've got 2 projects. One is looking at business waste, one is looking at community waste. So Upcycle Your Waste, it's an EU-funded project, looks to, we've reviewed businesses in Kent and in Essex and into Norwich, looking at their business waste and what can be used as a resource rather than just being waste, and discussing with businesses actually how they're using that waste and how they're disposing of it, and looking at the novel opportunities to use those resources in a better way. So that's one really interesting project. And then we've got Blueprint, which is looking at the circular economy of local authorities and how we can work better with our local residents and actually improving recycling streams. I think the first slide was quite an interesting one, mentioning the differences between maybe 5 years ago in terms of what was going to landfill and what's now going to the incineration plant up in Maidstone. But on the same point, we would like to move to a point where we're actually recycling more things before they get to the incineration plant. And obviously there are some benefits to that incineration plant, but it gives you the idea that we're trying to improve our local area and increase our recycling rates. As part of this, we talked about Kent Revs initially earlier. That's a SME scheme where we can actually rent you an electric vehicle for up to 4 weeks, free of charge, and it gives SMEs around Kent the opportunity to trial an electric vehicle for the first time, and it's a really interesting scheme. But as part of that, we've got ways we can help businesses through a life cycle of change, if you like. So this is Woodpeckers of Ashford. They're part of the Brighton Wood Recycling Network, as it were. And they came through to us via our first round of low-case funding, and they had a battery. They were able to get solar panels. They've also now become a supporting member of Blueprint, using some of their kind of teaching tools to support the wider aspects of that project. And there, just in the corner, you can just see they've also had a Kent Revs van on trial as well. So they've gone through multiple levels of our projects there, trying to achieve as much as they can for their decarbonisation and support. Now, what they do also is recycle wood. I'm just waiting for the slides to catch up. There you go. There's some planters. I'll just go back. And so they do lots of different projects, and they do some community projects as well. So again, what they do is low economy work. So it's great. Now, freshly launched. This is the some good news, as it were. So Southeast New Energy, rather, looking at decarbonising heavy energy using facilities and fleets, developing and demonstrating low carbon and zero carbon affordable housing and new builds and retrofits, and scaling up the renewable energy generation, especially around community energy. We also have Seacare, which is a really useful, one of the last funded projects of the ERDF funding. So you can get up to 1.5k of covering up to 100% of your project for low value EE projects. So that's energy efficiency projects. Might be paying for consultants to support your journey, as it were, and development of sustainable packaging solutions or circular and waste consultancy, sustainable transport and biodiversity and feasibility studies. So not many schemes out there that give you 100% funding. So it's a useful project, that one. And next we have our title sponsor, as it were, Growing Green, helping horticultural food and drink businesses in Kent meet net zero targets by giving them skills, knowledge, funding to become more sustainable. Now, I'm hoping my next slide's one I asked them to add in very last minute, but we'll see. Yes, there we go. Fantastic. Thank you very much, team. So Growing Green, on the next slide, I've got their website, but you can register to look at carbon audits, can help you with tailored plans, and they have small grants available. On their small grants, this is delivered by Growing Kent and Medway. So once you're on the program and you're confirmed, and I believe we're limited at 40 to 50 places on this scheme, so there's not many places available, but you can sign up and get involved. I'm just waiting for the slides to move next to our next slide. Sorry, we just jumped a few slides there. Just bear me a second. It might be the lag between me and the main system. But I'll carry on talking about Kent and Green, Growing Green whilst we wait. So once your place is confirmed, you get your virtual introduction, you get your program and welcome session, you get a introduction to your practitioner who will be matched to your needs. You get to attend 3 virtual 90-minute training modules throughout April and May, and you get support to develop decarbonisation and innovation plans, demonstration or knowledge exchange visits, and the key one really is a grant worth £6,000 that will be issued by the end of June 2022 to enable your action plan to be put in place, which is a fantastic amount of money to support your businesses and your goals, as it were. And finally, this final slide. Funding closes June 2023 for the majority of the other projects I mentioned. Growing Green, rather, does finish June 2022 in terms of your funding pot. So that's quite an urgent one to get involved in. But the rest of the programs, like Locase, will be running till June 2023. And so it's your opportunity to get involved, ask us for support if you need it. Like I say, there's an email address there. You can feel free to get in touch. That should be me.
Thank you very much, James. That was really helpful. I can't emphasize enough how much of an opportunity, especially the Sea Care project and the Growing Green projects are, because of the 100% grant funding that you have access to. Now, I would also like to add, with regards to the Growing Green project, a question from Sam. It says it's for businesses based in Thanet, Swale, or Tunbridge and Malling. Yes, as a priority, the project needs to look at businesses located in that area. However, if they still have spaces available, they will go out wider. So please do apply. You will be put on a waiting list if you're not from that area, and then you might be found eligible, and there might be space available for you after all. So definitely give it a try. Don't give up just yet. For the Sea Care project, James, just to be clear, when does that end?
Sea Care ends March 2023. So that should be an extended one. We're waiting to share more information about the voucher scheme and how you can get to it, but that will be running until March 2023. A lot of these Interreg funded projects, because this one's Interreg in Channel Manche, you basically they're all beginning to close down, as it were, since Brexit, as it were. And 2023 is the final year of rounds of funding, basically. So, okay. March 2023 for that one.
Fantastic. And you said it's not yet open, so we're still waiting.
There's the scheme. The scheme is just preparing now. Like I say in the slide, it's a hot off the press, as it were. But it's the vouchers scheme will be available soon.
Okay, fantastic. A question from Team Haywards. How many grants could we be able to use on our project of Going Green as a general? Can I use multiple grants to help fund a solar panel and wind turbine project?
So let's take low case for example in this point, because obviously that's the main pot of money in terms of what we're talking about today. That's up to £10,000 in terms of funding. What that means is we would normally look to fund up to £10,000 or up to 40% of your project. So generally, we would look to have you matching that other 60%, basically. Generally, it depends on where you're getting your other funding from, because you wouldn't necessarily be wanting to match other ERDF funding pots to that grant, basically, because that's not how ERDF work. They'd rather you have a private match, basically. But you can look at other grants that are not government grants to support that, or loans, as it were. So there are other options out there, but generally, depending on what size your solar farm might look like, or solar scheme might look like, if you've got a £25,000 project, you would probably more than likely get a 10k grant. So that's got the kind of scheme you might be looking at.
Okay, thank you. And I think probably most or easiest is just to give you or anyone else in the team a call to go through the specific project that people have in mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on our website, so you can go to Low Carbon Kent, and I'll share these details with you in the follow-up emails. We have on our website, you can register, so that anybody can register. We'll check if your business is eligible for a grant, and then you'll be assigned a business support provider who will give you a call. They'll go through a needs assessment call with you. You'll be able to talk about your scheme, and the process after that is generally, if you're acceptable in terms of being eligible as a business, you'll have to be able to get 2 quotes for your project, and then you'll be set up for an application, and then you go to our grants panel. Now, solar panels aren't the only thing we help with low case. We do help with things like air source heat pumps. We help with second-hand electric vehicles, for example. So there are lots of opportunities there. And like I said before, if you're working in providing low carbon services or goods, we can help with other things like marketing, R&D, and other opportunities if you're doing those sort of things. So it's not just about your energy efficiencies and solar panels. But we can help with a multitude of things.
So lots of opportunities for support. So that there no more excuse anyone to not pick up the phone to the Low Carbon Kent team and see what's out there. There's more out there than you think there is. And especially now, I'm going to say it again, Sea Care and Growing Green, 100% grant funding. What's not to like? Thank you so much, James.